Anyhow, here we are.
Messenger's been strange recently, but yeah, here we are. Yeah, gatekeeping and addressing the missing stair challenge has been something I've been sitting with. I had quite an intense journey just under a week ago, and I was present to the cost of being so open mode all the time. And Sean King also, I asked what he would do differently if he was in my shoes. He mentioned setting more boundaries and enforcing those, and that seems
Well, I
worth
mean, what kind of boundaries? About what?
bringing uh, it occurs to me like bringing more focus and containment to more of the people that I interface with in my life, like what events we host here at Evergreen. Um,
Mhm.
when I ran into Turquoise a couple days ago at this human flourishing event, I was present to how much overlap there is and how, at least how she presents, and what I'd like to see more events here in the home around. I think I've been like fairly loose around it, and I'd like to bring more focused events with more purpose and direction for people and for myself.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that you're running into the. I'm really tired of running a pony show. I want to run a gym. I want there to be people here who are interested in getting stronger or
mm,
looser, whatever you want to call it, around these particular topics.
mm,
Not interested in doing biochemistry exams, but
mm.
yeah. And so you're like the people. This is a place where things that you think of as pony rides do happen, but that's
Yeah.
not the intent here. The people who live here want to live here because it's a gym, not because it's a circus show, not because it's an amusement park, which I think you have a lot of. They may not think that.
Right. Well, hearing that back now, I mean, I'm much more motivated of a buyer where I see the costs of not being more stringent around that.
Yeah.
What are the
You'll
signifiers
lose
do around the focus around that versus when it's too open?
when it's too open, people are not they're not first of all, they're not talking about it like it's a science. Nobody's like, ooh, what's the science of a roller coaster? They just want to get on and have fun, or they want to maximize their fun, or they want to minimize their pain without actually paying attention to the science of it. You got to think like a bodybuilder. You're going into a gym. What do you notice the people who are not actually having their bodies changed? They sit around and they socialize a lot. They don't have a plan. They don't have the ability to screen out the personal stuff while they do their workout.
Hmm.
They treat it like a science. What does when you're a bodybuilder and you first like, oh my God, nutrition is important. Oh, sleep is important. I thought all I had to do was come in here and bounce around some steel. But it's difficult because in your place, you're interested in human relationshiping. And what looks like a workout to one person could be a complete pony ride for another person.
Yeah.
The people who are successful at gyms have social networks about being at the gym. They have lifting buddies.
Okay, that's a great signifier. So lifting buddies,
Yeah.
and they have a plan. Any other things that stand out to you?
That they treat it like a science. A lot of people are in there because they want to get their trophies or their black holes filled. And that's all that's important to them. They're not looking at it and saying, okay, so what's the actual science going down here? And you'll notice that when you start asking these kinds of questions, the wallflowers are going to get really pissed off. You ask somebody what their lifting routine looks like, and you're like, what do you mean? And you're like, well, don't. What's your routine? What do you do every single time? That's what a routine is. How do you get better? How do you measure? What are you measuring? Reps? Are you measuring depth? Are you measuring, what are you actually measuring here to get better at what you say you want to get better at?
Right.
Oh, I'm just here to have a good time. Okay.
Okay. Well, then I imagine that just silently they don't invite those people back as fervently.
Well, I think, you know, if you do the advertising right, if you do have nice little notebooks with 3-ring binders and, you have your reps, and you have a sheet so it's easy to put down what your reps are, and you flip it over and, oh, there's a dietary sheet. You know, if you're actually in the world of actually building bodies, the gym that's most successful is going to be the one that offers the most support. I mean, given that all the equipment is the same.
Thanks.
Mhm. Mhm.
Have you seen other places do this well that you can point to?
You can look at any school of any sort of, they all have this is how we grade here. These are our objectives.
Hmm.
It's about the science of it. We believe that you need to do this, and this to be one of these.
Like a clear belt system, I think we've written about
Yeah.
before.
Yep. And don't forget, you're trying to do something that outside of cults or or really, like the military or something. It's like when I was in the Navy, there were advancement tests. You know, you had to know certain things, and they did not leave it up to you to figure out. They told you exactly what they wanted you to know, and they even pointed you to the places where it was. So it's all right there. They want you to know the answers. And they're very clear about this is going to be on the test. Know this. This is how you're going to advance, get paid more, get more of this, more of that, more whatever. So they were very, very clear about that. Now, the other part was evaluations and, those being human things. Those were, you had to know who your superior was that was going to give you the evaluation and how to have them like you.
It's pretty clear.
It is. It's not very romantic. It's not very pony ridey.
I'm very clear that the foundation of romanticism is this foundation of workability and clarity that
Yep.
is lended to by implementing this.
Yep. And you have to be careful not to alienate all of the pony riders all at once, because then you're gonna lose your sustainability. So you want to slowly edge out the ones that you want to edge out, and you try to bring in the people that you want so that you don't have a problem with your resources.
Hmm. Yeah. When you say problem with your resources, what does that mean for you?
If they're paying rent, if they're cleaning the garden, if they're doing chores, whatever it is. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm at a stage where I'm like, well, now I wonder what it would take to increase buy-in by like 20% from everybody. And
You probably had to have a carrot that was at least 40%.
uh, What are examples of carrots that are 40% better?
It depends what they think. It's about your audience. It's carrots to them. You may not give a flying zippy doodle about this carrot, and they're like, "We'll give you $1 million for that carrot." Now, you're just trying to figure out what's going to get them to do what you want them to do.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter whether you like it or not.
Sounds pretty good. What are
I
some?
liked what you. Hmm?
Go ahead.
I liked what you said about the investors. The other day is that they want to make easy investments and they want mammoth returns, and that works. In terms of dollars, that makes sense. But then it's like looking at your place. It's like, well, we don't have dollars here. We're not a printing press. But there are probably things here that you could point to, and they would say, "Oh my gosh, that's an exponential return."
Hmm.
You just have to figure out how to language
Yeah. Thank you. That makes a difference for me. Hmm.
it. What's this thing about ADHD and limited family or whatever you want to call it?
Last Thursday I got present to the the world where I would want to have the optionality to be holding a child and looking at this child in the eyes as mushroom clouds were going off in the distance and everything was wiped out. And that's such a beautiful image to this animal part of me that something shifted internally, and I feel much more like focused on longer term things that could have a context where I'd be able to have a child. And I know that life outcomes with people who have ADHD are very variable. And so there is some stuff to work through around that.
Yep.
Um, there's some loud patterns around believing that it could be a form of, or ADHD being a form of affluenza, where affluence or tons of options then lead to a life where there's no long-term interest or
Yeah.
commitment or capacity because that muscle has never needed to be trained, and the internet fragments all relationships so that
Yep.
we find the most salient form of super stimuli everywhere we turn on the internet, and
Yep.
it leads to unworkable long-term things because you have a higher probability of defecting. And that could be on the other side as a superpower because there is so much more capacity to overcome that with systems that we can install that otherwise lead to an totally unworkable life with ADHD has been my experience. And
Yeah, but you're talking, aren't you talking the old paradigm? Their definitions of success, and then they try to stick an ADHD person in there and it doesn't work. What are the terms for success based on, that an ADHD person is the norm rather than an outlier?
hmm,
I mean, granted, you don't fit into the Christian paradigm. That doesn't fit. I'm like, well, of course you don't, but that doesn't mean that he can't have a fulfilling, successful, child-laden life.
hmm,
It's just you can't do it like they do it. That's all.
yeah,
If a woman is necessary for this and she's not informed on ADHD and she thinks you're supposed to act like normie, I agree with you. That's not going to work.
yeah. It's a different stance towards life that I've historically taken. And yeah, so it's like a big existential question, whether again, like 3 to 5 years ago, I was like, I'll think about kids in 3 to 5 years. It has been that long. And so now I'm like, well, that's a big question to chew on. Um, and yeah, there's a world where the positive utilitarian part of me wants to be like, well, having kids would be ridiculous and like one of the least green things I could possibly do when the opportunity cost might be giving my life energy to things that could much better use my comparative advantage, like AI and
Mm-hmm.
impacting people in that space and getting more of the spiritual frames to the people who are pioneering this technology, who are building AI in their own image that will
Mm-hmm.
be that will so significantly upstreamly impact trillions of countless creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be, if I'm believing the humanity maximalist or like flourishing consciousness creature realm, then that would be one of the worst things I could do is to have a kid through that lens.
I know, but you could pick up the lens that you're supposed to bring, you're supposed to bring into life the next savior.
Right. Yeah, it just seems probabilistically less
I
likely.
only because of the lens you're using.
Okay. So you're saying that self-fulfilling as a prophecy for
I'm not saying that it is going to, you could give birth to, a vegetable. I don't know.
mm,
But if it's not so much, my experience is that I believe there's something happening out there, but how you hold the lens. I mean, you could hold the lens, look at Norman and go, what? Clark Kent? Ugh, this is terrible. I choose to look at that and say, oh my God, that is gorgeous.
mm,
That is stunning. That is a peacock of rare quality. It's still the same Norman, but it's how I'm choosing to interact with him that gives rise to a different kind of dance.
yeah. I'm hearing just grapple with it and something will come up.
No, I'm telling you, find somebody, have a kid, period. End of story.
Hmm.
I mean, if the mushroom clouds are coming, you might as well have a good time before they pop up. The best thing you can do, Alton, is be the model for living well.
Hmm. Nice.
Oh my God, there's more coming.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Christina Sophie, I met
Oh,
at the Light Dark Institute workshop, and I want to have people who are familiar with Bonita Roy's work together in a similar space. I have it that it's been very impactful. The Light Dark
are
work
are
that you
are
resuggested, and that I have it that Christina Sophie's stance towards life around this golden eyes frame that she offered like a couple of days ago was also very salient. So people who are familiar with a lot of this and her early adoption for a lot of this work, there's a lot of juice here. So I was really enlivened around that. And thanks, Norman. I totally want to have a digital child before a physical one. Yes. And then some of the context with Amy was around how I could lean more into different character suits or archetypes, and how I could have that more of the default norm across our home. That was something that Amy was tracking on the last hang. I'd like to lean more into. Then Norman was on, we had some spicy GPT prompts that shared some very trigger reflections that were really yummy too. And I wanted to like seed the conversation space with some of that too. So that's some of the stuff in the background for me. And yeah, and at some point I'd like to address around like missing stair challenges and how we can healthily gatekeep in community. And now it's more open.
ladies don't eat popcorn at public meetings, Amy.
imagining she's prepping for like the Michael Jackson meme of eating popcorn and being delighted witnessing this.
Mm,
No, she's just being, she, in my world, in my pejorative, she's acting stupid so I can smack her.
mm.
She's a bratty sub.
People like being impacted by Ukraine. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Christina, come on.
Hey there.
Hey there. There's no hay here. Sorry. When Alton talks about people, I usually tune it out because I'd rather hear what they have to say about themselves. So is there anything you want to salt the pond with or
I'm Alton is such a creative force. In all honesty, I kind of blindly followed him into this meeting, so I'm still not entirely sure what we're doing, but sure, I'm happy. I can't tell if this is something that usually just happens between the two of you or if there are other people. I see there are 9 participants, but I only see a few people on camera.
Christina? We
Yeah,
all have our safety word.
yeah.
Do what you want. We'll use the safety word if we have to.
Okay. Well, what I'd like to do is observe a little bit till I get my sea legs, and then I'd be delighted to participate.
Right? Mm-hmm. Sea legs, SEE. Never mind.
An attempt at
Okay.
humor.
Hmm. Unlike eating popcorn.
Alton, I have a question um, about the missing stare. The first time I heard it was like in context with yours and Craze groups. Um, so that particular archetype of someone showing up and that's their orientation for groups. Um, yeah, what are your thoughts on that? I don't think I have a clear question other than that. Just because I find that concept interesting. Um, so yeah, how do group leaders address that? Or how do you address it?
What is it?
A missing stare.
I heard the words. I
It
know when it
well,
happens to me.
I looked it up because I hadn't heard it before either. It's someone that everyone is warned about, like in a group setting, someone who causes trouble or who's difficult to deal with. Um, so it seems like, I mean, nearly every group has that, and maybe it shifts, from participant to participant. Maybe someone's not consistently that. Um, so yeah, I just like to hear your thoughts on that,
So
Alton
missing
or
stare
Craig.
is a troublemaker.
Yes.
Hmm. Okay. It's an unusual way of labeling it to me.
So they're like a known challenge or troublemaker that consistently like defects from the commons. Like there's a more
How is it a missing stare? Never
if
mind, never
there's
mind. That's what they call it. They called it because they had bungee cords wrapped too tightly around their fetlocks. Who knows? Okay. Missing stairs, troublemakers. Okay. What do you do about them? Use them to train other people to how to deal with them? That's what I would do.
that's what I hear, yeah, is your stance generally by default. And you said that unless the people do something particularly heinous, like murder someone else, then they're basically all a part of the village indefinitely. And I think that my
Yep.
setting is a little couple clicks closer to, in one stance, you're totally in group. It's a giant echo chamber. Everyone just you're preaching to the choir all day, every day. And on the other end, yeah, you're just like welcoming in, other people who are serial
Then
killers or
have then have clearly defined rules when they break, it's like with me, if you're in hang and you go into a room that you haven't been invited to, or you ignore an avocado, you're out for 30 days. That's it.
Right.
That's
Okay. So
it.
right. So say that someone has a track record of consistently ignoring people's safe words, and every 31 days they come back to hang. I would want to warn whoever's in the group if they're going to do especially sensitive work that, yo, this person has been known.
Yeah. I don't have
And
any
that would be a
problem with
missing
that.
stair. Right. And I imagine that maybe Hang and or a lot of our communities could do with a little bit more pruning or more considered.
Psychologically, the difficulty you have is daddy and mommy playing favorites. That the rules apply to Amy, but they don't apply to Cray. And Amy's going to get preferential treatment because she was born first, or she's smarter, or she has more hair than he does. So on the psychopathology thing, you have to be really careful that you're following the letter of the rules. And it doesn't matter who breaks them. They can be the golden child. If they break the rule, they're out. But again, especially given today's climate, if you don't have these things very clearly delineated, there are people in Hang who just do I'm the world's best analytical engine, and I'm going to analyze you and tell you what I think. And I'm like, hey, you guys, you need to learn how to deal with these things. Either tell them to shut the hell up, or pay them money, or you can always in Hang, you can always go to a breakout room. You can get away from anybody. You can invite everybody there except the mouthpiece. You have to learn how to figure out how to deal with the negative things in your life rather than calling for the policeman to take care of it, I think.
Yeah, I hear that for Hang. I think that makes sense for what you're sharing with Hang. And that there are homes in other contexts where it's more sensitive, or monasteries, that it is important to have some standard of, or more constrained standards of lines of engagement.
Yep, I totally agree with you. And if you're going to have more constraints, my advice is to have it very clearly laid out.
Yeah.
And then apply it to all.
Okay.
Rule by law. It's an amazing concept.
Well, those are the main ones for me.
Oh,
Thanks,
yeah.
Amy, for mentioning that. And yeah, that's
Ugh, God, an hour and a half now. Ah.
Pray, I want to work on something juicy. Thanks to Alton. It seems I have an existential kink around putting myself in situations that prove my worthlessness.
Yep.
How the hell do I get out of that?
Don't do that.
And thus world peace was achieved.
Well, it's the whole idea. You're Amy's showing up, okay? She has this thing about trying to be a lady. She dresses up, she does her hair, got the nice earrings going on, and she's in the middle of the group stuffing her face with popcorn. And there's Cray, who has been known to spank her little bottom when she's like not acting like she says she wants to be acting. So she's setting herself. I think she's really intelligent. I don't think this was a mistake. She gets to be the center of the stage, and she gets personal, intimate attention from Cray, which makes her bloom all over the place. And so she can walk in. She could say, you know what? I'm tired of having that little girl who wants daddy's special attention show up. So before I actually get on this call, I'm going to look at myself, and I'm going to look at what I'm thinking about bringing, and I'm going to ask myself, is this that little girl doing it again? And if it is, I'm not going to do that. So for Norman, He's going to say, if you follow the pattern, you're going to say, I'm going to agree to do things that I know I am not going to follow through on, or that I am going to mess up in a big way. And I love it when people go, oh, you're going to say yes. And then they're like, you're a piece of shit. Oh, yes, I am. Through no fault of my own. Yeah. Don't do those things. Now, if you want to do the psychobabble, get in touch with that kid who wants to do those things. Why is he proving that? The stronger part of you wants to be a POS, given the evidence. It's a pattern that keeps on showing up. So there's a part of you that's making decisions in order to have that come true. He learned that someplace. It's a coping skill. It's a self-definition skill. Figure out some way that you can look at whatever the request is that's being made and say, how do I differentiate between that kid wanting to prove that he's a POS and me really wanting to get something done? How do I differentiate between the two of that? The easiest thing to do is look at the things that have gotten done in your life and what do they feel like? How did it feel making that decision versus the POS?
Is it fruitful to explore the path of what's the payoff of the POS story, or is that like also just a pointless
It's a story.
Mm.
If it helped, if you think, if you think it's going to help, go spend some time, some energy, some chi and explore it and see what happens. It's not a pass fail.
Mm.
And in my experience, you really don't have to go looking for the dragons. If you do things that the dragons are supposed to be keeping you from doing, and you try to do them, they will come and munch on your ass with no problem. Okay. You just have to go do that thing that they don't want you to do, and they're quonk. And then you're like, oh, I guess I can deal with this now. It's really hard to get to a energized story if the triggering isn't actually happening. If you're saying, oh, when I tried to ask that person out to dinner and I did it in such a way that they punched me in the face, I could have been, why would I maybe? Oh.
No, I got like utterly destroyed this Saturday from
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
experiencing this.
No, you did not.
My inner child felt that way.
Your inner child is recording. It's playing back the times that it felt destroyed. And it's trying to make you believe that it's about the present, because that's the most effective way for it to have control of the reins. You're not sitting there saying, wait a minute, I'm not destroyed. This person just did this and called me this and this, but that's just their opinion. That's not going to destroy me. As a little kid, that would have destroyed me because I didn't know that that's their opinion. I took that as the truth. You didn't get destroyed. You had an inner child play back a bunch of tapes and meaning making from his present, your past, in order to prove to you that you should not do things like that. Now, given that it's you, this is the addiction here, right?
I don't know if I
So
should
why-
like, remove myself from these situations altogether or treat it as exposure therapy, but that would further play into the addiction.
Yeah, but next time, okay, so you're going to do this again 3 times, okay? You're going to go find some way to get yourself in this kind of situation again, and when it flares, you're going to sit down and you're going to talk to that kid, that inner kid, about what's happening. And the inner kid is going to try to make it about the present. And you're going to say, I understand that the present is the trigger, but where did this come from in your life? What was happening? And you gently and firmly insist that that inner child tell you what happened. You need to really experience that this destruction that you're feeling isn't yours, it's his.
Well, what I'm hearing is that he just has to experience it through practice, through deliberate conscious action rather than narrating it.
Yeah. Put yourself in the trigger situation. Do it safely.
I mean, for context, it was like a orgy, and I was rejected nonstop for the entire evening, and there was a lot of opportunities to experience that, and I tried to separate what the inner child was feeling and like my present experience, and it would kind of like weave in and out.
So you and you're going to say, Cray, I know this is above and beyond, but I want you to come to this orgy with me. All right? And we're going to do this again, and I want you to coach me through this. And so I would say, okay, go on, let's get one rejection. Okay, that one over there. Oh no, he'll like me. She'll like me. It will like me. Okay, not that one. Oh, that one will reject me. That's just like the one that rejected me last time. Okay, so go over there, present yourself again. Okay, Norman. Now, instead of being the stand-up guy, okay, and taking all this nobly, I want you to collapse. I want you to wail. I want you to cry. I want you to let everything out that that inner kid could not express in the middle of this orgy. If we get thrown out, we get thrown out. That's okay. If we get asked to leave, that's okay. You're going to prove that Norman can hold the container for this child to express itself that it was not allowed to when it was a young child. You're going to hold the container so that that child can experience, own, and complete on the stuff it couldn't. And you're going to let him use your body to do that. Just imagine how sexy you're going to look. Ah! That's going to destroy Clark Kent forever.
It feels simultaneously very appealing and absolutely horrifying.
Yep, that's the mark of a good exercise. You can just see Norman calling up his friends. Hey, would you like to go to an orgy with me? It's not what you think.
Just hold me when I cry.
Yeah, if that's something, yeah, that would be wonderful. I imagine that that little boy was not quietly sobbing when he got told to shut the hell up and stop doing that. I imagine he was a little bit more demonstrative than that, given the 180 of the Clark Kent persona. La-di-da.
Great. What do you think we can uniquely do with this particular group here on live over the next like window of time, given what you now know and can glean about like Christina or Amy or myself?
I'm not the planner. I'm the guy who reacts to what's happening here and now. Sorry.
When you look at Christina, what comes up for you?
Leave her alone until she steps into the ring.
Okay, I'm here.
Hmm. How would we know that?
Hmm.
Does Amy look like she's here?
Well, I mean, can you feel me? I'm leaning in. My heart is open. I have to admit,
You're
a little bit of, there's such an urgency and intensity, and that definitely makes me cautious.
you're displaying a lot of pixels that could be interpreted in a lot of different ways. I can't smell you, I can't taste you, I can't feel you, but I can see your pixels. I'm assuming that you're American. I'm
Yep.
assuming that you're college educated.
Yep. I live in
Huh?
Oakland, California.
Huh?
I met Alton at this rather extraordinary shadow workshop this weekend where
Yeah.
Norman,
I
I
was
think you
there
might have
before it
liked it.
got. Yeah.
I'd like to go.
I was there before it became politically correct, I hear.
You were there before it became politically. Oh, to play in shadow work? Yeah, I think I was too, actually. I think you and I are maybe of a similar generation. So, yeah, it wasn't politically correct when I was messing around with it either. In fact, I've been pissing people off until just recently. I had to pay a lot of money to get politically correct so I can keep my job.
Hmm. There you go. Usually it's a pound of flesh and not straight up dollars.
Yeah, I guess I got lucky. Although you can already see by my behavior, I'm going to back up from anything that's too hot. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not really gonna fight in that. It's like, fuck that. That's not what I'm here for. I'm kind of
What
more.
are you here for?
Well, you know what you were saying when I came in, where you like, it's all going to hell, might as well have a good time. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me, actually. I
What's
won't,
your definition of a good time?
well, let's see. I mean, I
Make
do,
sure you lie convincingly.
I'm trying to give you, Cray, you don't seem like you're very open.
You have no idea. I know that if you're like all the other human beings on this planet, I'm going to have to sit through at least 20 to 30 minutes of your public face trying to convince me that you're smart and sexy in some way.
Oh, you said sexy. I'm loving that. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
Put that in.
yeah, and that's Jesus Christ. Like sexy has to do with what your body looks like.
I think you're flirting with me.
Yes, I'm inviting you to a non-normative
I'm in.
relational
Okay.
dance.
See, that sounds fun to me. I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't want to show
Oh,
my public face. I
you
mean,
can't help yourself.
well, I'm a mess. I mean, come on.
No, you're not. Oh God, here we go. Here's fucking Norman again. You're
Okay.
not a mess. Stop it.
All right, Norman, you and me, we're not messes. You're right. I've got it somewhat pulled together.
No, you. Compared to the rest of the planet, statistically speaking,
All right.
okay,
I'm with
you're
you.
doing great.
I'm doing great. Good point.
Fine. So
You're right.
now, why are you trying to excuse how you're showing up by that you're a mess? You don't have to tell us that.
I
You're
think
using that as an excuse.
fair enough. I'm trying to learn to dance with you and you're stomping.
No, you learn to dance with you.
Okay. All right.
I'll take care of me.
Okay. Non-normative conversation. So, Cray, am I having this non-normative conversation with you directly as if we were a dyad, or is this something that we're kind of
How
throwing?
else could you do it?
Well, because we could be throwing things into the center of the people who are here, although I guess some of the people here are
Do
AI.
whatever the fuck you want.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I'll own my yes, no avocado. Avocado is a safety word for me.
Oh, avocado is your safety word. Okay.
If you actually get me to say that, I will light a candle for you.
I want to see your penis.
No.
What's the point? I'm just trying hard to get to your avocado.
It's
What the
not, I
fuck?
mean,
Oh,
the
wait.
point of an
Okay.
avocado,
No, no. Wait, what would be the difference between no and avocado for you?
no is another negotiating point.
Ah, okay. And
Avocado is this stops now.
Oh, I'm not sure I
Don't you
understand.
know what a safety word is?
I do, but I guess I don't. I feel like no is a safety word too,
No, no is not no. Everybody knows that.
except me.
No, sorry, girlfriend. You have said no in your lifetime when the major part of you was saying, don't you dare. And you were saying no to see if they were going to buy into your public bullshit or they were actually caring enough or interested enough to see or feel what was really happening with you.
Let me think about that.
Oh! You're doing it now. You're demonstrating no, but you're really saying, I'm a little bit nervous, but keep going. Yeah.
Totally well
Yeah.
read. Well read. I'm right here.
Yeah. And the
Hang on.
difficulty is that when you dance with me, is that I'm not really interested in being the kind of top that makes things happen. I'm not interested in being a meat puppeteer.
Oh, I
I'm
get you.
interested in what you bring to the table.
Hang on. I just wanted to make you speaker, so I'm looking right at you. Okay. What do I bring to the table? No, I'm with you. I'm that kind of top too. I feel the exact same way. So it's are we going to do this? What do I bring to the table? We're losing turquoise. Well, I definitely bring curiosity, willingness to play. Boring you.
Talk is cheap. You're breathing.
Just
You're
do
probably
it.
perspiring.
Just do it, Christina.
Says
me,
the
are
man
you?
who didn't take and rape anybody at the orgy.
I know, really, it's hard to come in after you, Norman. You just went to an orgy.
This is an orgy right here.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Amy's usual. This is how she usually looks at an orgy. Ah. Any day, Christina.
Oh, I thought you were engaging Amy. Okay,
No, Jesus Christ.
let's
I'll
see.
poke at her. I won't engage with her.
Well, okay, let me. So I am still afraid of the dark.
Like, like when there are no lights on?
Yes. Like when there are no lights.
Oh, sounds difficult. I guess you need to carry a flashlight with you at all times and a couple spare batteries. If God,
When-
that's so, if you're talking about that you're so afraid of the power that's in your dark side because it will blow your life up and you don't know how to deal with that,
Oh,
then that's another thing.
I'm afraid of Satan.
Oh, really? So you believe that there's an entity created by another entity?
Not really. I don't believe it, but I was taught that as a little kid and it stuck and it just fuck me. It doesn't seem to want to go away. And it's
It isn't going to go anywhere. If you were inoculated as a young child that Satan exists, every opportunity is going to come up and say, Satan exists. You're going to hell for what you're thinking and doing. And you're like, oh, look, it's a recording. It's a neurological recording.
yeah, but it's
You can't do anything about it.
I know, but it still takes over my limbic system and I still sweat and shake.
Because you don't practice the other side of it. You have this Satan devil is really powerful, and you're over here saying, it's like, oh, I can't change. I'm going to let people tell me I'm not attractive enough to have sex with an orgy. Oh, I can't do anything about this.
You know, Norman, you're such a cutie. Honest to God. Should have just
Yeah.
in the middle of the room.
Yeah, I mean, just think. Unless he has some horrific pustules or something hidden under his shirt,
No, he's
everybody's looking at him and saying, unless you're at a really super kinky orgy, if people are saying no to you, there's something really fucked up going on. Something really strange is going on. Unless they're all like racist and it's everybody's white but you, or everybody's brown but you, or everybody's female except you. I don't know what it is. It's not normal. Back to you, Miss Afraid of Satan. Yes, I can. You have to create something, another alternative storyline that's more powerful than that.
Christina, what if
okay.
you asked to see Satan's penis?
See that? No, that sounds like fun, actually. That's kind of what I thought I was going to bring into the shadow work weekend, as I really wanted to explore inhabiting being a demon. I really wanted to explore that kind of taking Violator, the part of me that wants to rip the fuck out of everything and drink its blood, and the part of me that's violent. And I
Have you
did
ever drunk blood?
have I what? Yeah,
Have you ever drunk blood?
my own, like teach me.
No. Like a glass. No.
Not
So
had
you're
that
talking, this is
opportunity.
your fantasy. This is a small child's fantasy. So how do you make it real?
Well, no, I don't
How
think
do you,
it's a small child's fantasy. She's just paralyzed with fear. It feels more like a teenage fantasy.
she's not paralyzed with fear. She wants to be that. She wants to be the most powerful thing in the room. She wants to be the thing that God's afraid of.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
So you can say, oh, I want to kill people, rip their throats out, whatever. Here's a perfect opportunity for you to do it.
No, that's better. I want to be the thing that God's afraid of. I don't need to kill.
Right. So demonstrate that.
Well,
Be the thing in this conversation here. Be the thing that God would be terrified of. Say the things that God would be like, oh, you can't say that.
okay. I might need to percolate on that a bit.
Oh, yes, that's what God would say.
God would say.
God would say, I need to percolate on that.
Well,
The devil would say that, sorry. God's really afraid of people percolating. Yep.
I guess the devil would say, or I would say, I'm coming for your territory.
Yeah, but okay, so that's a great big metaphor. Where's the teeth? Where's the actual threat? Where's the actual knowledge that you can demonstrate by speaking about something?
If I knew how to do that, I probably wouldn't need coaching now, would I?
That's why it's called practice.
Okay. So,
How many times are you going to hear me say that, Norman? Look at Amy.
okay. Hi, Amy.
Ignore her. Look at her and say, what would God not want me to say? What would my version of God, if she, he, it, they heard me say this to Amy, God would say, you're going to hell now. And a lightning bolt would come out of the blue and strike you dead, and you'd wake up in the 8th inner circle. If that's too difficult, just imagine saying,
I may feel like I could play that way with you, because I feel like, Amy, I don't know if you would be into that.
if Amy offs herself because of what you say to her, points to you.
I don't know. I don't want to go there with
So,
you, Amy. I just feel like there's not enough, like,
fine, don't practice.
Energetic buy-in.
Norman's
Well,
like,
I mean,
there's
Yeah,
not
energetic
enough people
buy-in.
that like
there's some
Asian
context
dick.
that yeah, Amy's been a part of a lot of this community and has been doing a lot of practices previously as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
You're
And
gonna
I know that
believe
she's
him?
like Paradin just also wants to like maybe just relax a little bit. And
Then fine, pick
imagine if she
on
would
me.
Christina, I have a
Hey, let me-
question. Christina, I have a question, and maybe this will loosen things up, and because I would like to hear your thoughts on this. So if I say, even if you make your bed in hell, lo, I am there.
Mm. That's beautiful.
So, Christina, it's usually too hard to think of what God would get pissed off about. Say
Yeah.
the thing that Amy would be pissed off about.
But why aren't you standing in front of this, Cray? I want to do it
Fine,
too.
go after me. You're not going to be able to do it.
I'm not going to be able to piss you off or make God hate me.
Neither with about me.
Yeah.
I'm his most hated, most loved son. What the hell?
Okay. Remind me the game again. Okay, wait, hang on.
Say the thing that's going to have me send you to hell. Say the thing that's going to have Amy send you to hell.
Okay.
You have just crossed over such a horrible line.
All right, Cray, I think you're worthless. I think what you're doing here is absolute narcissistic jerk off. I think
Yay.
narcissistic masturbator.
Hmm.
I think you are just putting on this show that you know what the fuck you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, well, my thoughts aren't going to get me. Like make your
Nope.
bed in hell and lo, I'm there. God is super fucking generous. Amy is bringing in some truth that's so generous. I don't even know how to outrun it. It's kind of soothing my heart. Amy, that was fucking beautiful. I'm not even interested in participating
Yay.
anymore.
Congratulations,
Well,
Amy.
you know,
You made her feel
David
good.
said it.
David said it.
The
Oh, God.
psalmist. He was
Oh,
always
God. Now
crying
she's
around
going to
about
quote the
something.
Bible. Oh, God.
That's how I kicked it off with you, Cray. And I recognized him as the devil. But being in an adversarial role is so important. It's what drives everything forward. And he drives me forward in a lot of ways. Um,
One day she'll wake up
I've
to how amazing it is to be in collaboration. But from where she's at
I
right
do
now, digging her heels in and or being driven forward, fine.
Who are we talking about? Me?
I've,
Am I digging my heels in?
No, Amy.
Oh,
No, you're
Amy.
just being silly.
Oh,
I have
You'd
a
rather feel
question.
good than work out.
right.
I have a question for Cray or Alton. So the trap or the thing that I seem that seems inescapable is the arrogance or the superiority, and it it seems to be a thing I have difficulty getting away from. And my only reprieve is to go directly into like an inferiority role, like to be humiliated, to get some kind of relief
Mm-hmm.
from being in a superior role. And it's squirrely because I was, and I'm thankful for some of it to be the smartest, the prettiest, the
What's the
most popular,
question?
all of that.
I don't care about
And
the history. I don't care about the stories.
um,
What's the question?
so being in a hero role is still superior, and it's
Yep.
difficult to see it that way. But being in a teaching or a hero type role, like when I think I'm doing good, it's still me being superior. So how that is to be inferior or to be
No, step
humiliated,
off
and
of
that
that.
feels better. But I would like to understand, even because it's unfamiliar, what it feels like to be peer to peer, or to walk beside people and not be helping people or not be humiliated by people.
Okay,
But
stop. You have a word, peer to peer or collaborator. It's not important what we think about it at this point. Right now, it's important for you. You're looking at a whole new character trait. Okay? So you got to figure out what this thing means to you, given your level of understanding now. So you're going to sit down and you're going to write superior and write a list of what that means, adjectives, whatever. Then you're going to do a less than, and then write down what that means. Now you're going to come over here and you're going to go to collaborator. And you're probably going to get stuck because this is a foreign concept to you. And you're going to have to start writing about it. When you've written like 2 words and you get stuck, go talk to ChatGPT. Call Alton up. Call Norman up. Ask people, what does it mean to you to be a collaborator? What does that mean? How is that different than being a power differential? And as you create this vocabulary, then you can look at it and say, given me, Amy, how does a person who has those traits act? That's the next part. Because now you're going to come in and you're going to say, okay, Norman, let's have a little chat. All right. And I'm going to try to be a collaborator. And here's my list of these symptoms, Norman. We're going to just talk, and whenever you think I'm going into that, you just do this. That's all you do. Don't analyze it. Don't do anything. Just do this. I'm going to have to figure out whether I'm top or bottom. That should be pretty easy. And then we'll just then I'll write something down, and then we'll just keep going. So I'm going to get the embodied experience of being in a conversation with somebody, a knowledgeable person who's going to be helping me, because I'm not going to notice probably that he's going, you're in one of those things again. And at this point, we don't want him going collaborator. We just want him pointing out when he thinks you're going into top or bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a nuancing. All you're doing is you're mixing this stuff up and you're tasting it. And in tasting it, you're like, oh, okay, how can I change this next time? If you put if you put those heavy traction boots on, you can get through this in like a week. You would have a firm understanding of how it is that Amy shows up as a collaborator. Not like Jochen does, but how Amy shows up as a collaborator. And you'll hate it. Your primal character will absolutely hate this. There you go.
Is your experience of me, Cray, that I'm showing up as a bottom?
No, you're showing up as a non-committal.
Is that the same as versatile?
No.
No. Says Clark Kent. Clark Kent used to be very neutral. Now they've made him sexy, they've made him bad, they've all kinds of things. But in the old days, Clark Kent was about as neutral as you could get.
Flatline.
Yep.
Right, earlier when you said there's a serious problem, my inner child already was like, it's me. But then I wanted clarification. What were you pointing to with that
With what?
statement? There's a serious problem in the space, in the people, in me.
That I'm imagining this wasn't a movie version of an orgy, not the short bus kind of movie, but the sort of Hollywood image of what an orgy looks like, because those are very few and far between. This is probably a regular orgy. All right. It's not with the best and the brightest and the most beautiful. Everybody's come from the cosmetic surgeon.
There
Okay?
are some of
So
those.
there's some, yes, but you're not for more than one for 4 or more people to say no to you, You either have to be, the only thing that makes sense to me is that you're picking the people that are going to say no to you. That's the only thing that makes sense. Because if you're at an orgy, you're here to experiment. You're here to have fun. You're here to do things that you don't normally do. And so that 4 people in a row or more would say no to you. I'm saying in my world, that's like, Norman, you are doing some really choice cherry picking there. I don't know how you're doing it or what you're picking. You're not stupid, so you got that going for you. You notice things. You have good pattern recognition skills. So I don't know how you're pointing out these people. It may be that you're just looking for a maybe tomorrow, and they were all stronger than that, maybe. But that's so bizarre to me.
I think I've had experiences like this before where it was just like practically nothing happened in the evening, and those experiences where like a lot happened in the evening, and the difference is my openness. I think when I'm there to like meet as many people as I want, I feel like I like relax my standards and I just meet more people. But I think that evening I came in with a different energy around like being more like picky, and it didn't work for me.
Yeah. If you have a serious piece of shit conversation, if the piece of shit is choosing the movie star, the piece of shit is going to choose it in such a way that the movie star says no, absolutely not. There's no way around that. You can't if one of your big, black holes is that you're a piece of shit, you can't have movie stars saying yes. That will disrupt the whole system.
But what happens when they do say yes?
Then you have to be drunk. You have to be high. They have to be drunk. There has to be some extenuating circumstances, because otherwise the whole the whole framework of your psychology is going to collapse.
But it has happened, and it happened there too.
So I thought you said everybody said no.
Almost everyone said no.
But okay. I went up and asked 4 film stars if they would suck my dick, and they said no. But this one other one, the toothless one, still a movie star, said yes. So good, you're batting 20%. At an orgy, that's a POS place. I've gotten 4 no's, so now I can go ask the not so stellar movie star. I can come down a level now that I've gotten those 4 no's from the AAA guys.
No, he was a 10.
Technically still a movie star, 86 years old, but I can get a yes out of this one.
I think I went in with the dangerous expectation of wanting to be chosen.
No, why is that dangerous?
Well,
That's
if you want
normal.
it to be-
Everybody likes being chosen.
but you wanted to be chosen in a moment when you wouldn't have chosen yourself, like when you felt like not particularly
Choosable.
choosable.
Norman, there is nothing out of the ordinary about wanting to be chosen by somebody that you have value positive about. There's not. I mean, that's completely normal in any culture, anywhere in the world. The reason you say that is because you're not allowed to, because you're a POS.
Yeah, if you go in as like ugly Betty,
Piece
and
of
then you want to
shit.
be chosen.
So the thing is that what I hear happening is that you're like, I'm really going to show that I'm a piece of shit. Watch this. I really want to get chosen. I really, really, really want to get chosen so much. Does everybody hear this? All of you people who are on the bus with me as I'm going to my orgy, I want you all to know how important this is for me tonight to get chosen by a beautiful person. And then you're walking in and you're like, ooh, there's one. Wow. That's like 6 numbers ahead of, higher than I am. Hi there. Wow. But I really want to. And all the time you're like, oh, look at this big piece of shit I am. I am the biggest piece of shit here. I am special. Yeah. I mean, being a piece of shit is its own value. I mean, because you have that sardonic smile, you're, yeah, that one right there. Yeah. You love the drama about being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Ugh!
Oh, yeah.
The,
I don't
the,
want
the,
it.
yeah, evidence to the contrary.
But at
And
least
until
I think
you own it, it's not
Yeah.
going anywhere.
own it and have fun with it, and then I think
Yeah.
people will actually still enjoy it, because you can enjoy a piece of shit.
Norman, you have so much to be an alpha, and you're refusing to do it. I mean, you might be a sigma, but you could still be an alpha of sigmas.
I feel so confused by the path forward. Is it like to take myself out of these situations, or is it that like
Well,
there's some like leaning more into the piece of shitness and like
no,
find a way to
you
enjoy
don't
it?
have
Like,
to. Don't. So you want to go in and get. So the theory is that you went into this thing wanting to not get chosen. So that's the thing to own first. Okay. Now what do you want to get chosen for? When you're going to your next orgy, what do you want people to say yes to? That you have the cutest ass in the place? That you're going to take out your teeth and give gum jobs all night? I don't know what kind of parties you go to. What do you want them to say yes to? Be clear about that. You're
mutual
going in
pleasure.
here to have,
Mutual pleasure.
how many different kinds of pleasure can you have? What is the thing that you, and I'm telling you, narrow your focus. You come in and say, it's hand jobs tonight, guys.
I went in very clear to bottom. I wanted
Yeah,
to
but what
enjoy
kind
that.
of bottom? What's your advertising? Yeah, exactly. If I don't advertise, I'm sure to get rejected even more by people who make their biased decisions about what they think I'm saying. And I'm just being vague. And I'm going to say, no, that's not what I mean.
I don't know what I'm selling.
Well, hey, there you go. What a great way to be at POS. There you go. Not clear about what kind of product I am. There you go. Bet you will get lots of rejections.
Want to go into a breakout room, Norman, and try a couple of pickup lines?
Okay, let's go.
Can you open? Oh yeah, there.
Let's go to number 2
Okay.
for a piece of shit.
Oh.
Wait, what just happened?
What do you mean what just happened?
Oh,
They're
really?
going to do lists with each other in a breakout room.
They just went to practice. Oh my God, wow. That's great.
You don't do Zoom calls?
No, I'm new here, Cray. Just trying to figure it.
This is Amy being seductive.
It's working on me, Amy.
Nah, that's not saying much about you, Christina.
What would you want Christina to have said?
I want her to stop relying on her physicality to be seductive. I want her brain to be out there. I want her words to be out there.
That's provocative.
Hmm?
How could she practice that with Nolan?
Yeah, how could I practice that? Hi, Nolan.
Hello, Christina. I don't think we've met.
How could Amy practice
Yeah,
that?
we went this weekend, Nolan. We didn't actually meet. I danced around with you.
Okay. Wow, I am surprised at my poor memory. Guess I should do less weed.
Yeah, it's the weed's fault. Mm.
Lame the weed.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, I'm interested in, yeah, and Craig, what do you see possible for like how Christina could evoke that in connection with Nolan specifically?
And having him smoke less weed?
In like the dance, more of the quality dance that you see that Christina may want to have, both in connection with Amy and or Nolan.
Grab him by the balls.
So what would those words be, or how would Christina
How
specifically?
dare you not fucking remember me, you little retard?
What the hell's wrong with
Wow,
you?
okay.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, but not with
Okay.
a smile on your face.
Okay.
I do remember you now. Something about, I want to say you had a different hairdo.
So the difficulty, Christina, is that you're dealing with, I mean, forgive me, go Nolan. You're dancing with somebody that doesn't have a lot of vocabulary.
Okay.
So now you have to take that into consideration. And so you're sitting here and you're looking at Nolan, and I don't particularly care what your particular deviancy is. You know, how do you bite him? How do you not make this dance to get what you want take 4 years?
I don't
How
want
do you look at
I don't want
well,
anything. I want something
Oh.
from Amy. Amy's
well, fine.
Amy,
Then fine, get it from her.
I want you to show up.
Oh God.
Well, you do this regularly with this
She's
man?
showing up. What? She's right there. She's here. How do you want her showing up?
God. Well, I like it. Looks like you've got the camera above you. So I'm going to
So
imagine.
let's see if we can focus up here. How do you want her to show up that she's not showing up now? Don't comment on what she's doing.
Okay.
Go for the jugular and how she's not showing up. She knows how she's showing up. You think that she's not aware that she's holding her camera up here?
Yeah, but
At
here's
this
the
great
thing,
angle,
Amy.
looking at her down in her bed with the big fluffy pillow behind her?
Yeah, but Amy, even though I'm looking down on you, you still don't seem.
How do you want her to show up?
I want her to show up heart open, vulnerable.
And how would you know that she's doing that?
I think I would hear it in her voice. I think you would say something.
Okay. What do you want her to say? What do you want her to say in English?
Amy, I want you to say in your own words.
No, stop it. You're practicing being a wolf, being a devil. You're directing, you're a top. You're telling
Too
her
big of a
what to
jump for her,
do.
Cray. It's too
Shut
big of a
up.
jump for her.
Good, then let her collapse. Give her the right to collapse. Give her the right to run away like a scared little rabbit.
You're not wrong, Amy. It's a big jump for me. I'm a terrible top.
Christina,
But I'm
think of the sentence. Think of one sentence you want her to say, and then tell her to tell you that sentence.
okay. Amy, I want you to say, I am scared to show you my vulnerability.
I'm scared to show you my vulnerability, but I'm not.
Stop it. Stop it. That's not, will you please stop being such a bratty sub? Jesus.
But I'm not.
That's
I'll
I'm
say
done. Oh, go ahead.
to you, Christina, I'd like to say this.
Okay.
Me showing up like I just got off from work first off, but I'm exercising, not showing up fully done up. I work in the beauty industry.
Okay.
When females like me present as we do, I would like to say this. I would like to be vulnerable in this way. We are doing this because this is all that we know our value to be very often. I can't speak for everybody that is
Okay, wait a
focused
minute.
on image.
Stop, Amy. Right now it's 7:40. Turn off your phone. Get out of that get up. It should take you 4 minutes. Put on a silly t-shirt, put your hair back in a bun, and show up as Amy, not that. Can you do that? You can. Stop being such a brat. But you could decide not to. That's fine. How naked can you get? Wear clothing, please. Take all that doll stuff off. Be Amy. This is the actions to your words that you want to be. You want to learn to be something different. Now's the time. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now.
But I'm
It'll
loving
cost
the
you.
struggle. Can I enjoy her struggle a little bit? I really love this struggle, Amy.
She's not.
It's delicious to me that she's.
Amy, she thinks you're struggling.
Are you not struggling?
No, she's just being a brat.
Okay. Yeah, see, I don't get brats. Why does anyone want to play with a brat?
Because they get to make them bend.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate defiance.
Hmm. Yeah. Evidence of the contrary, but okay. Okay, so Amy, you're declining my request. Oh, here
Christina,
comes.
I wanted to connect with your violent destroyer in some way. I don't know. I don't know how yet, but I was listening before joining, and I felt some juice.
Yeah. How do we set them up for something in a breakout room to practice that?
Send them to a breakout room and let them figure it out.
I can't. I got to go at 4. For me, it's 4:45. I got to go for 4. I'm gonna have to do it next time with you, Nolan.
Waited too long.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, she couldn't do it for 30 seconds.
Okay. Okay. It's a hard one
You
for
can't
me.
go into a room and be violent for 30 seconds?
All right, send me into a room for 30 seconds. It's fine.
Let's do room 1.
Room 1, have fun. Having fun, Amy? Hello, Susan.
Susan hasn't been here, but I'm really interested in having her from, especially her coaching background, get present to some of the distinctions that you share in this particular work.
I'm sorry that this is probably going to land with you in as it's crazy or it's something, it's something, it's something, it's something. Unless you were at New Ventures West. No, okay, never mind. Here we are.
To meet y'all.
Hmm.
Susan, are you up for receiving Cray's sharp
No.
reflections?
She hasn't done anything. She's sitting there. Stop
I want to invite her in, make it easier to engage with this.
it. She's already here. She can't be any more in.
This is true.
She's highly competent. She's very intellectual. She knows what she's doing. She's confident on the outside. Let her be.
Hey, Alton, thanks for inviting me into this. I don't know what I'm getting myself into, and I'm enjoying that.
So that's that's like a little bit of a real red cape there. She looks like you look like you're a lot more grounded in your datien or your hips or however you want to talk about your grounded place.
Hmm. You've got a keen eye.
Wow. Now, it's not, I mean, again, I talk to Alton a lot. You don't look like you're brittle. It looks like that the self-assurance is, you actually crafted that yourself. It's not like it was given to you or you assume that because you were born into a certain whatever. But there's like there's a self-assurance from having done a lot of practices. So it's really nice to hear bass notes.
Hmm. Thank you. It's very sweet.
Yeah, not intended to be sweet.
Alton, what made you invite me here?
I have that. My life
He's
is a
holding his
craving for
breath. He's
miracles.
lying. He's giving you a politically correct answer. He's afraid. Why do you want her here, Alton? Human to human.
My life selfishly gets better when
Nope. You as a human, not as you as a person with life. Why do you as a human being want her here? Specifically, demonstrate that you have looked at her and you have seen something and you're going to say something about it. And she's going to say, oh my gosh, he didn't just glance over me. He actually looked and heard and saw something.
when we spoke the other night, something lit up in me, realizing that there are other people out who are really thoughtful about the current state of the world. And
So be more specific. I'm just hardline coaching you. Be specific about what she said. When you said this about the plight of the seagulls, I was shocked that there was another human being on the planet. La 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 la. You're giving her vagaries. Give her something that shows you are frickin' paying attention.
I think I did at the time, trying to answer her around what had me have her here now. It does sound like it's a selfish desire that people who have superpowers are in my life, knowing each other. You're saying that that's not human to human enough for you.
No, it's not. Susan, the way that you talked to that bully, the way that you diffused him, I normally clam up and back down. I was impressed with that. That is something that I think a lot of us need to know what to do. That you didn't get violent, you didn't get pejorative, you calmly held your ground. When he took a step closer to you, I would have cut and run. He raised his hand to you and you looked at him. You weren't out bullying him. To me, I heard you saying, if that's what you have to do in this crowd, that you have to strike me, go ahead. You're not going to like what happens after that. And he backed down. You don't know this about me, Susan, probably, but my dad used to beat me. I wish I could have done that with my father. That's what you could have told her. Something like that. Instead of philosophizing at her. She said, "That's sweet." I said, "It wasn't meant to be sweet." And she smiled. Why? Why would she smile if a person who's talking to her is saying that how she interpreted it wasn't how it was intended? Probably because she's sick and tired of being sweeted. You okay, Susan?
Yeah, I'm still
Yes.
curious about Alton's response.
Yeah.
The makeup that you are in touch with something that I won't get to share with anybody else. And there's some flavor when you spoke about your thesis that resonates with some pained part of me around community and pathologization of our current state of the world.
It's the cracking in your voice that she's hearing. That's my story. That's important to her. It's very different talking about your philosophy and talking about Alton. They're not the same thing. What I think about your thesis, Susan, I want to cry. I want to scream. The title of your thesis hurts too much. And if you can see it, if you can see what I think I see, then I think more of us need to get together and figure a way out of this. So I'm going to make it about my network and my philosophy, but it's really about me. I need friends. I need people who see what I see and feel like I feel about what I see. I suck at being a friend, Susan. Absolutely suck. I don't know how to do this. And this is what I know how to do. How's that, Alvin?
Uncomfortably resonant. Your best work. Thank you.
You're welcome. You still got to keep walking, Alton. So I encourage you that if you find people of Susan's ilk to you, did not onboard them so quickly. Don't ask them just to show up. It can be very jarring, as you well know. I don't think it's jarring for her. It might be peculiar, but I don't think it's jarring.
What's the jarring part?
The jarring part is how threatening it can be to a point of view.
What happened to not caretaking for people?
It's not caretaking. It's like looking at Susan and saying, she can take a load. You know, she can carry. She's had some powerful forces that she's danced with and not been broken. But the legibility, you're more concerned about the legibility of this rather than the impact of this. Because she could think I'm just a crazy old man. That's fine.
Mm.
It's the legibility. It's like people who are used to classical music listening to jazz for the first time. Any thoughts, Susan? Other than him being unable to speak for himself? What is the title of your thesis?
I don't have one yet.
Oh,
It's something
what's it
around,
about?
it's about the symptoms of pathology that arise from a culture that doesn't support us as social creatures, as mammals.
Ooh, yep. That's gonna be fun. Incels. The feminine version. Rise of AD8, whatever it is.
Less that stuff and more like I think attachment theory and like parts work are more symptoms of modernity than they are symptoms of prevalence, evolutionarily speaking.
Ooh, she talks sexy science. I like that.
I feel like that's personal.
I agree.
Mm.
But you think that before modernity, the consensus was that there was a singularity of consciousness?
No,
In,
no, not that. It just feels like as social creatures, as mammals,
yeah,
we did well in like kinship and tribal configuration.
absolutely.
And I think moving away from that into the more isolated nuclear family
Yes.
configuration led to this sort of like this fragmentation of the individual because developmentally, all of the needs that are to be met in a healthy developing psyche just couldn't be met. The burden on two parents or a single parent just doesn't provide the
That's an
same.
interesting hypothesis. Sociologist or anthropologist?
Neither, just curious observer.
Oh, so you're not doing an actual scholarly thesis.
No.
Damn it, why not?
That doesn't excite me.
Excitement's overrated.
Yeah, no.
The impact that you could have would be very exciting, I bet.
That's what Alton was pointing to when we met.
Yeah. Yeah, but good Lord, you don't want to do that.
No.
You don't want to be taken seriously. You just want to be the crazy philosopher out in the woods.
No, it's
Yeah.
like I present the idea, and if someone academically wants to explore it, then by all means, right? Because that's exciting for them. They would want to devote their life to that.
So, Norman, this is one of your dances here. Right? Has to be exciting, and this isn't exciting by definition. Right? Not that she couldn't possibly learn to be excited about it, but why, given all of the just the creation of the idea, why does she want to stop there? She says it's because the rest of it isn't exciting, but the rest of it in and of itself is neither exciting or unexciting. It's the lens that she's looking through.
So what's the juiciest part of the intersection of these topics for you? Is it just the thinking of it, or?
I would say it's the discovery process. It's like knowing that there's something here and getting a deep sense that it's more prevalent than like surface level, and being in the process of inquiry and discovery around it to flesh it out into a whole idea.
Do you do that with yourself?
With myself?
Yeah.
I think so. I think so. I think like
That's a no vote. That's waffling to disguise a no in my world.
I think it's more of like an I don't know. Like perhaps I am, perhaps I'm not. I would as a person that is self-aware and curious about my own impulses as a means of growth, I suppose, that there is this observing and process of discovery over time as a result of being in relationship and noticing what happens.
See the reflection, Norman?
But this type of inquiry is different.
Yeah.
It's very different, I would say.
This is her version of Clark Kent, I think. Norman may look like Clark Kent, but he's a flame drama queen of rare talent. But he does not like to put it out there. When he lets go. Do you ever see the movie The Birdcage? Robin Williams?
Yep.
Okay. His Robin Williams husband looks washed out compared to Norman. And it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. But he hides.
Ugh!
If you had shown up there in full regalia to your orgy, Norman, you would have been turning people down.
I wore some regalia, okay.
Not enough.
Jochen gave me some really great ideas for what to play with instead of my body as the currency.
Don't you dare. Jochen, you did that? I say, why not go for things of higher value? Your body's pretty.
Susan, I'm curious. Have you found your tribe?
A long time.
Cool.
I find that personally, I find that hard to believe because unless you're pretty schizoid, yeah, and how, because I think your tribe isn't as calm and cool and as collected. Yeah, just an opinion.
I mean, I could imagine that there's a tribe of people who, whenever they're outside of the tribe, they're all Clark Kent. And only when they meet in the tribe, then they kind of go completely to town.
That's a definition. But that's dependent upon there being tribes, which there aren't anymore. Just like there aren't really communities. But
Whatever
Anyway.
comes closest to tribes these days.
Very curious, Mrs. Susan Barnes.
Yes.
Just curious.
Titillating.
No, Norman's titillating.
Percolating.
Percolating, yeah, there you go. I agree with your thesis, Susan, but unless you give people something that they can take action on, unless you can give them action points, it's just another interesting idea. So I would really be interested in given that we can't go backwards, what would be your remedies for the situation?
Yeah.
What would be your working points?
Yeah, Alton asked me this question too. It's essentially, at least what I can identify as two pathways that are both essential. The first is the personal work that people have to do in order to reclaim wholeness from fragmentation. So therapy, somatic work, IFS, like you name it, to rectify the situation. And then also there has to be a redesign of the current social landscape to be one that comes back to that reclamation of, yeah, configurations that actually support us.
Yep. Rocks are hard, water is wet. What are those things?
It's a good question. It's a good question. I'm unsure. I told Alton it feels almost as if like this evolutionary impulse is expressing itself unconsciously through those of us who have a desire to be more in community, where we sort of like centralize community as a pillar for ourselves. But that's as far as I've gotten in terms of just the exploration of it.
Why not create the ability to have the multiple things that you need within the individual? Why go backwards instead of going forwards? Take this as the new norm and say, how do we make this better? Rather than trying to say, oh, we need to go back to the way it was.
I'm not claiming that we have to go back to the way that it was. Evolution doesn't work that way.
Good.
But like there are undeniable aspects of what we are as mammals, as social creatures. And so
Okay, so as the anthropologist, not all mammals are social creatures. Why do you keep saying mammals?
because we are mammals. Like
Well,
it's a reference to just remember ourselves as animals, right? Because like we can forget that as human beings we are animals, and I think that forgetting that can be detrimental.
But we're a specific kind of animal.
Mm-hmm.
We're a social animal.
Yeah.
We're an animal that does not have instincts.
We don't.
All of our values are learned. If you look at if you ask the biologists what the definition of an instinct is, humans don't have them. We have nervous arcs, we have reflexes, we have principles, but we don't have complex voluntary muscle engagement that is cross species that cannot be messed with unless you're putting drugs in our water.
You wouldn't consider like our fight or flight response to be instinctive in the face
No,
of
because you have to learn what to be afraid of. The mechanism inside that's non-directional is there. That's organic.
Yeah. But what about the instinct to like reach for your mother's breast because you're hungry? That's also learned.
You're reaching all the time. Okay. It's not the infant, neurologically speaking, the little thing doesn't even see a breast. It doesn't see edges until 16 months or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just doing what it's doing, and it's doing a stimulus response reward mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Crying is not, people say, well, we all cry. And it's like, there's no 100% situation in which all babies will cry. Some babies don't cry when they're hungry.
Mm.
So the definition of instinct is that it's cross species. There's no black widow spider that says, oh, I'm going to do a new web today. I'm going to do a new design. It's hardwired in.
Right. Hmm.
The path of development has been dependent upon having a tight social network up until this point. I agree with you about that. That how human beings have developed optimally, given those definitions, is through the tight social network.
Yeah.
But now that tight social network doesn't exist. Is this evolutionary pressure to move somewhere else?
It feels like you can, I mean, like there's a part of that that's clearly a yes, right? There's, I think, the prevalence of like the digital spaces as a means of interacting. Like I think that that's like an offshoot of this for sure.
Yes. Kids' best friends are about to be in their pocket.
If you know what the signifiers, what the markers are of people having optimally developed, can you find people who in the 21st century optimally develop without a tribe and still manage to do it? How did they do it?
Most of the time, your definition of optimally defined human beings is based upon the social network that doesn't exist anymore. We have a belief that families are supposed to look like this.
No, I mean just on the level of the behavior of the individual. You observe an individual in all kinds of situations, and I think you can at least say something about like whether or not the behavior is like adaptive or like the individual is pretty screwed up.
What?
Okay, great.
Susan.
Where do you suggest I go to continue?
Wait, let me ask Susan one more question. I like her. What's going to happen when school-age children, their best friend is in their pocket, is on their phone? That you can talk to them at school. They're your best friend. They know what to say. When you go home and get into your video machine, they can be there with you. It's not us. Did you ever read Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke?
Should I?
Aliens come down and they're going to help us get to the next level of development. But everybody who's above 16, it's too late. So they take all the kids, and it gives you a reflection. It gives you a story about what happens to all the people who are like, we're stuck here. We can't go on. And so it's not us that's going to be the big change with the phones and AI. It's the 5 and 6 year olds who next year or the year after, no, not 2 years, but within the next 18 months, they're going to have a best friend that's going to understand them, who's going to talk to them, who's going to suggest things, who's going to remind them that they need to be home for dinner, who's going to give them pickup lines. What should I say to Susie? Try this. It will have it'll have pattern recognition. It will tell you what Susie likes based on her Facebook posting that you haven't read. Yeah, it's gonna be weird.
Yeah.
Are you telling me this, or is your AI telling you to tell me this? Yes, Alton.
What are the
Thanks
ways
for dancing,
you'd suggest-
Susan.
Yeah, what are the ways you'd suggest walking forward or moving forward together given this with this particular group? And specifically, I mean, with Susan and how to engage her with these type of containers.
Well, Susan appears to me to be, a fine intellect, a great analyst. I don't know what she's like as a human being. And in this space, people are more concerned about their I-ness tends to revolve around themselves as human beings rather than as thought generators or thesis writers or anything like that. So I don't know. I don't know how she's going to bring in her stuff. She's going to sit down with Norman and say, "Okay, Norman, this is where I see you're a little bit like, nah, 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 nah. This is what you can do." I don't know how she's going to teach this stuff other than at institutional levels. And given the way institutions are going, it's a lost cause. And so I would hope to hell
Few
that
minutes, but I can.
that
No, it's okay.
hello, husband of Jochen. Oh, that's so cute. Yay. You like cute. Jesus.
In the right
yeah.
moment, abso-fucking-lutely.
I think he would look better in a floral print, a soft floral print myself, but
Well, he didn't know you would be on camera tonight.
no, but Christmas is coming, Jochen. Hint, hint, hint.
Jochen, where's yours? Where's your onesie?
He wasn't
Still
wearing a
left.
onesie, he was wearing pajamas.
A onesie would have been better.
No, for your generation, not for his. Come on. You're so prejudiced. Jesus. Just because you look great in a onesie with that little bunny tail, and the little ears at the top. Oh, I wasn't supposed to tell anybody about that. Sorry. I don't know. Dance. So, Alton, dance with her as a human being. Don't dance with her as a information fountain. Dance with her as a human being and try to be a human being as well.
That's great.
These people are going to be won over to your cause because of how you dance with them as human beings. That's the whole point.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Heading out for today.
Thanks,
Good
Thanks for hosting
night.
as always. Good night.
guys.